couple of months ago, I did a video using Route 1 Pokemon in Pokemon Black and White. I knew I wanted to do this in other games as it was actually pretty fun, so this time we're doing the exact same thing, but in Pokemon Shield. This will be a hardcore Nuzlocke as usual, and here's some rules on screen for you. One big thing though is I'll be able to catch a new Route 1 Pokemon after I defeated a gym. So I'll start off with one Pokemon before we take on Milo, and then once we beat him, we'll come back and catch another. Galar actually has some nice Route 1 Pokemon with Corviknight, Orbeetle, and even Vikavolt. Some powerful Pokemon if I do say so myself. And everyone else is pretty useful as well. I don't think this will be too hard as Sword and Shield is basically just set up in sweep games, but there ain't nothing wrong with that. I will be Dynamaxing and I'll also be using a bunch of TRs this time around because in order for a lot of these Pokemon to be useful, I'll need them. If you guys do enjoy the video, give it a strong like for my return, and of course if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so, or a Berserker is going to eat you alive tonight. You know, that actually sounds pretty bad. I take that back. Also, let me know if you guys are getting Scarlet or Violet, and why. You know, I think it's become tradition to pick Scorbunny every single time ever since I said I didn't like Cinderace. But there you guys go. The little guy has a home. A home in a virtual box, but a home nonetheless. Alright, so on to Route 1, which is a literal 5-second walk. I decided to hunt in the random grass to see if I could get a Caterpie, as it evolves at level 10 to a Butterfree, which would make the first gym a breeze, but instead I ran into this little gal. Now I could just restart, but I just went with it and named her Bulma. I don't think many people will have a hard time with the nickname theme here. Thank God I did stick with her since she had an adamant nature. I don't know if she can beat the first gym, so hopefully this isn't a waste of time. Our first real hot fight with Bulma was actually kind of close with his Grookey doing a number on us, and Rookity definitely could have finished us off with some pecks, but just decided to use one and Leer for the rest of the battle. Hop AI is something incredible, I'll tell you. Hopefully Scarlet and Violet don't have this bad of AI. Over in Wedgehurst, I did change the style up a bit, and now we're looking snazzy. Of course, right after this we have access to the wild area, and this means we can go ahead and get some TRs. I ended up grinding for Body Slam as it's a great stab move for Bulma, and Crunch for the upcoming Bead fight. Man, all of you are going to be beat by a bunch of Route 1 Pokemon. How embarrassing. Our second hot fight wasn't too bad as Wooloo nearly died to one Body Slam, and since his potion didn't heal Wooloo all the way, another one can finish that off and Grookey is out. Grookey's Branch Poke did do some damage, and our Body Slam couldn't even do half. For some reason Grookey used Scratch next though, and that little chunk of damage popped our Citrus Berry, and the cool thing about this Squovet is she has Cheek Pouch, meaning we eat 2 Citrus Berries instead of 1. Now we're at full, and this time our Body Slam got a high roll for the KO. As you can imagine, Rookity was no problem for Bulma. After trucking through Route 3 and the Galar Mine, we come across a beautiful young trainer. He went on to be America's next top model. Beat Solosis was no problem to Bulma's Crunch, but unfortunately Gothita here used Tickle to lower our attack before we can get even a hit off. We ended up doing half, and since he used it again, we can't even finish it off with a second Crunch. On top of that, he just had to tickle us one more time since he knows he's going to die. Now Hatena comes out, and its Confusion did do a chunk to us as we do about a third, however we did manage to snag a defense drop. Now thankfully we didn't get crit on the second one, so we lived on 10 HP and popped Citrus Berry as well as Cheek Pouch activating, which will let us live one more Confusion. A second Crunch gets into about 20%, and the following turn we get away without a crit, live, and that's it for Bead. Okay, that was pretty close, guys. Not necessarily difficult, but since we only have Bulma right now, it's kind of scary. After playing soccer with a bunch of Wooloos, we can challenge Milo, the first gym leader. Milo starts off with a Gossifleur, and this is perfect as Bulma can get off 3 stockpiles to up her defenses. For some reason he didn't just go for Magical Leaf turn 1, but whatever. On our third stockpile, he finally goes for that Magical Leaf. Now I went for a stockpile on accident since I forgot it only boosts defenses up 3 stages, but either way the next turn a Body Slam does half and his round didn't get us into Citrus range. This doesn't matter though since Bulma here has Stuffed Cheeks which uses our berry to raise our defense stat 2 more stages. I was curious if this would activate Cheek Pouch, and it does. I just love to second guess myself. Now that we're at full, we take out Gossifleur and Eldegoss comes out. We both Dynamax to the huge ass beings, and thanks to our defenses, his max overgrow didn't do much, but honestly our max strike didn't do much either. We did this for 2 more turns and I ended up doing more damage, and now we're no longer Dynamax. Now we barely live a Magical Leaf and our Body Slam can finish this thing off. Alright, I can't wait to get our next encounter because these battles are getting too close for comfort. Milo, you're hurting my hand. After this gym, I went back to Route 1 for our second encounter, and I was hoping for a Caterpie again as Butterfree would be useful for the water type gym. Unfortunately, you can't find it in the overworld, but the first Pokemon I ran into in the grass was Squovet, which we already have, and luckily Caterpie was the next one I found. For reference, I could have found Grubbin, Hoot Hoot, or Blipbug, which could have made Nessa a little bit more difficult. I named him Piccolo and immediately evolved him into a Butterfree. He did have a brave nature, which sucked. Butterfree does have antennas like Piccolo. Now let's fight Hop again. This will be hot fight number 3 out of 100. His Wooloo tried to growl us, but our body slam still does a clean 70%, which had me fangirling over Bulma. Another one can finish Wooloo off even though it went for a defense curl. Next up was Corvisquire, and I just body slammed, and man did that crit almost do it to him. After hot potioned, I went for another one and we actually got the para. This doesn't mean we'll outspeed though, since this chipmunk is slow as shit. This bird also plucked us, which means he'll eat our citrus berry and get health back. 3 more body slams can finish it off, and thankfully on the third one he got paralyzed, so we didn't risk a crit. When Thwacky comes out, I switch into Piccolo, who can tank a Razor Leaf, being quad resisted. I wasn't really worried as one gust did half and another wrapped the fight up. The good news about Route 1 Pokemon is most of them evolve super early like Bulma here.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
Now our second gym fight is Nessa, and getting right down to it, I led Piccolo. I got the TR for Energy Ball, and Goldeen can't withstand a single one. Barracuda is second, and this is a speed demon, but I just D-maxed Piccolo and tanked a pathetic Aqua Jet from the little guy. And a single Overgrowth demolishes the fish. Finally, Dreadnought is out, and she does Dynamax, and her Max Strike did scare me, but we did live, and this Max Overgrowth is quad effective, and with this grassy terrain up, Dreadnought stood no chance whatsoever. Thanks for not crushing my hand, Nessa. Please go talk to Milo about that. Although, I think he was just mad he lost. It's time again for another encounter, and this time I was thinking of Wooloo, but the problem with Wooloo is it has the chance to have the ability Fluffy, which does have damage from physical moves, but doubles that of fire-type moves. And it just so happens to be that the next gym is a fire-type one. Instead I went with Rookidee, and this is an overworld Pokemon, so no issues here. I named him Goku and got him to evolve into a Corvisquire. You know, Bede, I don't know if being a trainer is for you. I heard Victoria's Secret is hiring Motostoke though. I will say Butterfree early on is an amazing Pokemon. He destroyed Marnie's Krogunk with ease. Morpeko did come out next though, meaning I had to switch into Bulma. Although Bulma tanked every shot and popped the Citrus Berry just to laugh in Marnie's face and Morpeko's face. And even though Scraggy is a fighting type, I think Bulma's fat ass broke Scraggy's foot on that low kick. Sorry Marnie, but at least the nearest Pokemon Center is right next door. Alright, Kabu is up next, and for this fight I led with Goku. I made sure to EV train in speed so I could outspeed Ninetales, and that way we could taunt first turn as he usually always goes for a Will-O-Wisp. That's exactly what happens, and I start getting up Hone's Claws. He's using Ember, which is scary because it has a chance to burn, but once the taunt wears off, I go for another one as he actually did go for that Will-O-Wisp again. On our third Hone Claws, he ended up getting a crit Ember, which sucked, but we do have that Citrus Berry to give us some health back. I got one more off to be at +4 attack, and thankfully we didn't get crit or burn, which means now we can go big and go home. One Max Airstream kills Ninetales, another kills Arcanine, and of course the big Fire Pede gets pecked away by Goku. Honestly, I have no idea how else to handle that fight, so I'm glad everything worked out. From here, we come across our fourth encounter, Nickit. Now, Nickit doesn't provide much offense, but this Pokemon is a crucial part of the team since it gets Nasty Plot and Baton Pass through TR. I named her Chi-Chi and evolved her right at level 18. Unburden would have been a better ability, but honestly, it doesn't matter too much. Bro, Cheek Pouch is just too good. Just when Hop thinks he might get one kill on my team, I'm right back to full health. Sorry, mate. It's been a while since I fought Alistar, and I think he's harder than B, but at the same time, Alistar starts off with this puny Yamask, who is really easy to set up on. So much so that Chi-Chi can get 3 Nasty Plots up to be at +6 special attack without breaking a sweat. And from there, a Snarl KOs Yamask, and Mimikyu comes out. Mimikyu of course has that disguise going on, but we're pretty healthy, so there was no issues there, and a Snarl can also take that out. Dweevil is actually pretty fast with a base 90 speed. Now, I think I Sucker Punched here thinking he'd go for a Hex, and we could eat our Citrus Berry, which was totally useless by the way, but instead he went for Curse, and now we're affected by it. Anyways, a Snarl can take that out, and once his Gengar is out, we both D-Max, and a single Max Darkness demolishes Gengar, no problem. Man, I tell you, this Pokemon right here is the cutest thing I've seen in my life. Alright, not as cute as you, Mareep. With another gym badge down, we can go back to Route 1 again, and this time around, I decided to snag a Wooloo because I want to rub it in Hop's face that mine is better than his. We didn't end up getting Fluffy, which honestly I think I preferred, but I named him Vegeta, and right after, this happened. I don't remember this form, Goku. I just realized there was Hatrims on top of the Pokemon Centers in Bologna Town. Balonia Town, Bologna Town, Bologna Town, Bologna Town. Speaking of fairy types, Opal is up. This fight is usually never a problem since she gives you free boost for just answering her questions right. But basically, Goku just Kaioken to +5 attack with bulk up and destroyed Weezing with Steel Wing, and the reason I got to +5 attack is because Mawile here has Intimidate, so at +4 attack, that's still enough to take out the rest of her team with both Mawile and Togekiss dying to a Steel Wing, and I didn't even have to go Super Saiyan with Goku to take out this Super Saiyan cake. This time around, on Route 1, I ran into a Hoot Hoot. He was named Roshi and had a terrible nature. Oh hey, another Hop fight. To literally no one's damn surprise. Get over yourself, Hop. You know why they call you Hop? because you keep hopping from team to team, and I'll be the first one to tell you, man, it's not working. Anyways, he led this Ghost Tree, which is surprisingly tiny, by the way, and Goku can taunt right away as his Confuse Ray fails. Now, without fear of being confused, I can get a Reflect off, and that Shadow Claw doesn't do jack. From there, I get a Bulk Up off before I have to taunt again. Fast forward to +6 attack, we pop a Sigisberry just in time, and a single Drill Peck takes that out. Heatmore, Voltund, Rillaboom, and yes, Snorlax as well, which I don't know how because that belly must have been soft as hell. Now, I didn't think the next gym would be so hard to prep for since Ice is just a bad typing, but it was. I don't know if it's just I couldn't come up with a decent strat or what, but this took me some time. Damn you, Melanie. Anyways, I ended up coming up with something that was sort of a good strat, and I didn't think Roshi would be the one to carry out the plan against these ice types. So yeah, Roshi can Nasty Plot up, and this is tough because Frostmoth has Icy Wind, which will always lower our speed. What I did was put a White Herb on Noctowl to reset the speed stat immediately after getting hit by Icy Wind. Now we're at +2 almost for free aside from the damage, and I Heat Wave the Icy Moth to oblivion. Of course, using Heat Wave is pretty risky since it can miss, but I just had to hope for the best since I needed that White Herb instead of Wide Lens for accuracy. With no speed drop and speed EVs on Roshi, we can outspeed our Manatan easy, and a Heat Wave connects for the KO. Unnecessary crit, but we love to see it. Now, unfortunately for Ice-Q here, it had a chance to live, and it did in fact live, meaning it gets an Icy Wind off, lowering our speed. I can't do anything else but just kill this thing with an Air Slash. Roosting wouldn't do me any good even if we lose the Flying type, because eventually we're going to be too slow to take advantage of losing the Flying type, meaning death would be inevitable. Once Ice-Q is down, her ace comes out, the gorgeous Lapras. She obviously is going to DMAX, and I actually won't since Lapras is not dying to anything from us. Instead, I decided to Roost and get rid of the Flying type with Roost as we are still faster than this Lapras even at -1, and it's probably by a couple of points. This way we can stall out her DMAX turns with Roost fairly quickly while being even more healthy than when she came in. Now since she was Gmax, her Ice type moves were Gmax Resonance, which sets up Aura Veil for 5 turns. At this point there's only 1 turn left of it, so I just stalled it out with a final Roost, and now we can Dynamax ourselves and take a decent chunk from Ice Beam, because she's faster than us now thanks to an Icy Wind she got off beforehand. Now we can go for a big Max Flare. Alright, it only did a third, but now Sun is up and we just have to pray that the second one kills. For some reason she did Sing, which missed, which was insanely huge, and another Max Flare can finish. Oh, come on! All that for Lapras to live on 1 HP? Well, anyways, I just switched into Bulma on some Ice Beams and Body Slam cleaned up the fight. It would have been so epic if Roshi just soloed her entire team, but of course not. You couldn't even let us have that, could you, Melanie? I really wish I could tell you that the next hot fight was something special, but because I ended up catching a Blipbug as our next encounter, it was a cakewalk. This one was named Frieza, and look at this thing. It's menacing. It just spells evil. Not too bad of a nature either. I've never used an Orbeetle before, but I've always wanted to, and man, did he not disappoint. I EV trained this thing in special attack since it's kind of lacking at base 80, but yeah, back to Hop. So I actually sent out Chi-Chi to start nasty plotting as he goes for Growl. You know, classic Hop AI things. After getting the +6 special attack, we can Baton Pass into Frieza himself, which is fitting since the hail is up. From here, a Psychic can take out Dubwool, Corviknight. Snorlax takes a Psyshock instead since his defense is lower, and Psyshock uses the defense stat instead of the special defense stat, which means Psychic wouldn't have KO'd. Rillaboom as well dies to a Psychic, and I mean, do I even need to mention this Pyukumuku clone? Alright, that strat is completely busted, but it makes me love Orbeetle more than I already did. Anyways, on to our next threat, Marnie. You know, Sword and Shield are some weird games. Like, this Liepard has Nasty Plot, but it doesn't even have any special moves. Now, I say Sword and Shield, but I'm sure this has happened in older games as well. Unless it hasn't, which in that case, what the fuck, Game Freak? Anyways, Goku here got a nice taunt off since we don't want to be tormented when we go into Piccolo. Piccolo will put this thing to sleep right away as she just went for a use of Sucker Punch. From there, I was able to Quiver Dance 2 times and Liepard stayed asleep for both turns. Now she did wake up on my attacking turn, but thankfully she didn't use Torment and instead used Nasty Plot. Come on, Marnie. And well, yeah. Piccolo destroys Liepard with Bug Buzz, Morpeko with Bug Buzz as well, Toxicroak with an Air Slash, and the same goes for Scrafty. Now I don't know what makes Pierce so confident considering we just took out his sister, but I don't know, it's not my problem. Honestly, I just led Piccolo to get off a really accurate Sleep Powder thanks to Compound Eyes, and from there got 2 Quiver Dances up. Scrafty dies to an Air Slash, and Malamar dies to a Bug Buzz. How pathetic, Piers. It's a Butterfree for God's sake. Now Obstagoon almost always goes for Obstruct turn 1, so I should have Quiver Dance, and the reason is because Skuntank actually has a chance to live our Bug Buzz even with 252 EVs in special attack. Anyways, Obstagoon dies to a Bug Buzz, and then that Skuntank comes out. I guess Piccolo was just not having it with the smell coming from its ass, so 1 Special Beam Cannon later, and that is our 7th gym badge. Since we beat another gym, it's time for another Pokemon to join us. This is our final team member just in time for Ryhon. It's good old Grubbin. I named him Gohan, and with that we took on the final gym. I did come up with some sort of strat here, although it was pretty bad and I escaped just barely. I led Roshi and Chi-Chi. Roshi was here to set up a Reflect turn 1, and I nasty plotted with Chi-Chi. I felt like Chi-Chi was pretty safe to set up and baton pass, but unfortunately I completely mislooked and didn't see that Gigalith here has Body Press. Both my Pokemon took some chip from Breaking Swipe, and then Roshi was able to get that Reflect up. When I saw this thing use Body Press, I was shitting bricks, but somehow Chi-Chi managed to live even already having took damage. I did put a Citrus Berry on Thweevil thankfully, but that Sandstorm is wearing us down. Now the plan was to nasty plot one more time for Orbeetle to come in, but since we're too weak, I hard switched Roshi into Gohan and baton passed immediately to Orbeetle. For some reason, Ryhon used Stealth Rocks instead of killing Thweevil, which means I could have got one more nasty plot off, but better safe than sorry. Gohan is out here to get rid of that Sandstorm with Rain Dance, and Frieza can finish setting up with Calm Mind. Now I did get the Rain up, but we were risking Gohan's life a bit here since Gigalith went for a Rock Blast this turn, which somehow I also forgot about. Now I already been lucky enough in this fight, but man, with the Citrus Berry and him only hitting 3 times, Gohan got to see another day. From there I hard switched Gohan out and went into Bulma while Frieza took a crunch that got us into Citrus range. Then we can Calm Mind to +4 special attack and Bulma took 3 Rock Blasts. I know, it's looking pretty grim, as we haven't done any damage to these guys and it was a pretty bad strat on paper, but hey, we made it this far. We took another Breaking Swipe and got one more Calm Mind for +5 special attack. Right after, Gigalith body presses Bulma and pops our Citrus Berry so we can be nice and healthy at 159 HP. She also managed to get the first hit off on Ryhon's entire team, so good job Bulma. Now with Frieza at his final form, we decided to Psychic on Flygon's slot right after taking one last Breaking Swipe from this thing. It dies in one hit and another body press connects on Bulma, this time being a crit. I don't know how this chipmunk doesn't die. I'm such a proud father. Bro, look at my team. Just decimated. The only one I could switch into is Goku. So that's what I do, and thankfully we are part Steel type to not take so much from Stealth Rocks. Now it's time for Frieza to really unlock his final form. We Psychic Sandaconda, and this will set up Psychic Terrain for boosted damage. Unfortunately, this does set up Sandstorm because of its ability, but it had Fire Fang, which would have done more damage to Goku than Gigalith would have. Now Duraludon comes out, and of course it's going to reach its final form as well, and believe it or not, this is right on the money to kill thanks to Psychic Terrain, but first Goku gets off a big Steel Wing on Gigalith, and of course this thing outsped us to get a Rock Fall off. Which, by the way, I thought we would naturally outspeed, so I had no Speed EVs invested in Orbeetle. I really thought it was the end of Frieza here, but man, 10 HP. Good job, Frieza. And that's it, Duraludon just hits the ground easy. Luckily, the Sandstorm didn't end up killing us, so the final turn, Goku can finish up the fight with a Steel Wing to Gigalith's face. Guys, I know that was a lot, but there was a lot to process in that fight. I totally expected to lose at least one Pokemon in that fight, but I'll take it. Alright, you guys know the deal. We've destroyed all 8 of the Galar gym leaders again, and it's on to the semifinals. First up is Marnie, and she's of course going to lead her Liepard. It's funny seeing these counterparts on the screen together. They look pretty similar. What's even funnier is me and her are both using Nasty Plot, but what she doesn't know is I'm going to be baton passing it. I Nasty Plotted to +6, and Marnie did as well. Once we were ready, I baton passed into Frieza. She did use Snarl, but it didn't crit, but it will lower our special attack by 1 stage, which is fine. From there, we Bug Buzz Liepard, Scrafty, Psychic Toxicroak, Bug Buzz Morpeko, which we did outspeed since I decided to EV Train in speed after that close Ryhon fight. And yes, we did Dynamax to obliterate Grimmsnarl with a Max Flutterby. Alright, round 2 of the jumps. I feel like they give people the dumbest leads in these games. This double is really easy to set up on as well. The only problem being his Body Slam, which it did happen to get a Paralysis on turn 1, but I did have a Lumberry for that, although I think the berry was for his own Corviknight swagger, since it will live a move even being set up. The unfortunate thing is when I got to +5 attack and defense, Double got a Paralysis, but it is what it is. From there I finished up setting up to max and Drill Peck Double. I didn't think Pincurchin would come out next, but I guess that makes sense, so I Dynamax right away since that's the only way I can kill this thing in one blow. Doing this though will give us a speed boost thanks to Max Airstream. After, Snorlax also dies to a Max Airstream, boosting our speed once again, and Corviknight comes out. Since we're speed invested and at +2 speed now, we can outspeed and completely take this thing out, which is crazy since this was a roll for sure, or his defense was absolutely terrible. Of course we are out of D-Max turns, but let's be real, we don't even need it to kill Rillaboom. A couple of pecks to its toes and it's over for the big guy. Leon, I don't know how you trained Hop, but man is he a Nothing much happened with Alina since we did just do the same Thweevil and Orbeetle strat and swept pretty much everything on our team. This combo is literally unstoppable, guys. You're lucky I don't do it to you right now, Rose. But you know, that would be anticlimactic or whatever. You know, it would be cool if instead of having set finalists every time you replay these games, it would actually be random on who you'd fight out of the gym leaders. Either way, Bede was also not difficult. Again, he has something in the front that is extremely easy to set up on, and Goku can easily set up and sweep his entire team. We didn't even need to go Super Saiyan. Seriously, go be a model or something. You got the style for it. Alright, on to a real challenge. Nessa. Gallisopod is scary since it has first impression, so I can't necessarily just use the Thweevil and Orobeetle strat. Instead, Gohan is up. Gohan can immediately Thunderbolt Gallisopod so that we don't have to deal with it, although it did go for a first impression doing under half of our health. Now I didn't anticipate Seeking coming out next and thought Pelipper would come out, but this is fine. In fact, it's better, since Pelipper would get the rain up with the Drizzle, and now I can Sticky Web without taking big damage from Pelipper's rain boosted moves. Seeking went for an Aqua Ring, which was nice, and then I hard switched into Noctowl and we actually dodged a Mega Horn. I then set up a Reflect, tanked the Mega Horn, and now we can go into Chi-Chi knowing she's not going to go for a Mega Horn. So we come in on a Waterfall, and the following turn we set up an Agility as her Mega Horn gets us a Citrus range. Agility with Sticky Webs will allow us to outspeed Barracuda, and now we can Baton Pass it into Gohan on a Mega Horn. This will in turn make Gohan eat his own Citrus Berry. Now a Thunderbolt can KO Seeking, and we can Dynamax when Barracuda comes out. This will demolish the fish and set up an Electric Terrain. Pelipper is quad affected, which doesn't matter, and finally Dreadnought Dynamaxes, but it doesn't matter either since our Electric type moves are boosted from the terrain, which if they weren't, this thing would have actually lived. Sorry Nessa, but it's not your time to shine today. Now I thought Alistar would be difficult, but quite the contrary. See, Vegeta can learn Swords Dance, so all I did was set up some dances, destroy Dusknoir with Payback, which did lots of damage thanks to him lowering our speed with Rock Tomb, and Payback does 100 base power instead of 50 if we go second. Congrats Alistar. You played yourself. Chandelure came out second, and Vegeta dodged a big Will-O-Wisp and was able to pay back Chandelure. However, if it did Will-O-Wisp, I was just going to Baton Pass into Bulma anyways. Speaking of Bulma, I Baton Passed into her when Poltegeist was on the field. With +4 attack, we Dynamax Bulma, and although the little teacup is protected, it didn't matter as a Max Darkness went right through it, destroying the Vintage Cup. Cursola only went for an Amnesia, so that's out as well, and we did take a big Max Darkness from Gengar, but we retaliated with one ourselves, and I don't know Alistar. Next time tell that Gengar to close his mouth and stop sucking so much dick. Up next is Ryhon, and I always hate this fight because of this Drought Torkoal. But if you hate Drought, just set up some Rain. That's exactly what I did, and that Lava Plume still did a lot of damage. And we got burned. The following turn I went for a Light Screen, so that way we don't die, and I also needed it for Orbeetle. From there, it was time to send in the Legend, the Myth, and just look how we tanked that Lava Plume. I began setting up Calm Minds, and already he went for a Yawn. Yawn doesn't activate Sleep for another turn, which is great since I have a Lumberry and it lets me set up a little more. Of course, we ate our berry and went for a third Calm Mind, but to no one's surprise, he went for a Yawn right after. Now, I did put Rest on Frieza here since we're going to sleep anyways, so I just did that to get some health back and tank more moves. The rain did run out and I did wake up and was able to get to +4 special attack and special defense while being at just 50 HP. By the way, I did have a Damp Rock on Gohan to get 8 turns of rain. I did this instead of Light Clay since you can crit through screens but not so much through the rain. Anyways, I have a move called Stored Power on Frieza. Basically, the move's base power is 20, but it increases the more stat boost you have. And this goes for any stat boost, not just special attack. So it's not only getting affected by being +4 special attack since it's a special move, but it's also getting boosted because in total, I have 8 stat boosts thanks to Calm Mind, 4 in special attack and 4 in special defense. This all stacks and it allows us to set up less Calm Minds for more damage and not risk dying to a Lava Plume. Well anyways, Torkoal dies to a Stored Power, so does Turtonator, Flygon as well, and Goodra comes out. See, this was interesting, because in order to be 100% sure we kill a Dynamax Duraludon, I cannot be Dynamax myself because Dynamaxing takes away the side effects of our base move, Stored Power. And even if we have Psychic Terrain up, Duraludon would not die. It's weird though, because in order to beat Duraludon and be 100% sure one hit will kill it, we need to not Dynamax and have Psychic Terrain, but of course if we don't Dynamax, we can't set up Psychic Terrain, meaning either way, we can't be sure we kill. And on top of that, I didn't put the move Psychic Terrain on Frieza. Another issue is that Goodra is so specially defensive that Dynamaxing also doesn't guarantee a kill on Goodra. But like I said, even if we do Dynamax on Goodra, we might not kill, and we'll definitely not kill Duraludon, so our best option is to not Dynamax at all. Overkill Goodra with Stored Power, and pray that we get a high roll, or that Duraludon's stats are trash to win the battle. A side thing we could do is set up one more Calm Mind and pray Goodra doesn't crit, and another thing was getting Psychic Terrain as a move and praying he doesn't crit, and that would be enough to kill Duraludon. Any way this goes, RNG could mess us up. But still, I think risking the roll on Duraludon is better since there's no way it'll have 31 IVs in special defense and HP and have a good nature to live. But hey, this is Pokemon, so anything could happen. Now, even though I think it's better to risk the roll, I risked the crit, so I don't even know why I said any of that. Let's go, baby! He didn't crit, and we calm-minded. Now, basically, Goodra gets overkilled, and Duraludon dies in one shot as well. I was definitely sitting in my chair for a while thinking that went through. Time to face the champion. After the short commercial break from Chairman Rose. My strat for Rose was actually super dope. I nasty plotted turn 1 as Escavalier Swords Dance, which was huge. Then one Heat Wave demolished this thing and Kling Klang came out. When I tell you I really thought I outsped this with my speed EVs, I'm not joking. But yeah, we took a brutal hit from Wild Charge, which is why I said Escavalier Swords Dancing was definitely huge. From here, Heat Wave takes care of that and Ferrothorn is up. I tried to Roost, but this thing does way too much damage with Gyro Ball, so I just scrapped that and Heat Wave for the KO by Dynamaxing and Max Flaring. This way I could set up the Sun, which I need to kill Berserker in one hit since I only invested speed EVs in Roshi, and not special attack EVs. Once Berserker is gone, Copper Jaw comes out, and of course that is what? Are you kidding me? Alright. I knew it had a chance to live and Roshi would take one for the team, but it still hurt my soul. Since this thing is basically at like 1 HP, I went into Bulma, who I knew could live any max move it threw at us. Well, we did, and an Earthquake can finish the battle. By the way, I had White Lands on Roshi instead of a Citrus Berry since I didn't want to miss Heat Waves. In the end, I stand by that decision. Well, at least we don't need Master Roshi anymore. On to the finale of this run, Leon. This was actually a fairly simple fight since I don't mind sacking all of my Pokemon at this point. I did go back to fight this guy, as he will give me a Focus Sash, which I need for Leon. Once I grab that, I head out to the pitch with the crowd going wild. Leon will lead an Aegislash, and I'll go ahead and lead with Gohan. They gave Leon some pretty fast Pokemon, so what I wanted to do here was get a Sticky Web off. He did just go for a King's Shield, which was whatever. From there I set up a Light Screen, and he actually goes for a Shadow Ball, which did jack. Now since I don't need Gohan anymore, I go ahead and give him no more screen time since he's off to studying again. And Chi-Chi comes out. How fitting. I set up one Nasty Plot, and this is who I gave the Focus Sash to. This way we can live a Sacred Sword, but man, to my surprise, we didn't even end up using the Sash and lived at 23 HP. That's actually super impressive, Chi-Chi. She's always been a tough cookie. Now I can baton pass the next turn into Frieza into a pathetic Sacred Sword. I taught Frieza Shadow Ball from the TR and gave it a Choice Specs, and Aegislash is no more. So Dragapult did come out next, but I really have no clue why Sticky Webs doesn't work on him, or at least I didn't at the time. I was like, what? This thing doesn't have Levitate, but it does have Clear Body, meaning it can't get its stats lowered at all. Nope, not even from Sticky Webs. My fault, but at least I'm learning things. Thankfully, Orbeetle is tanky and lived the Shadow Ball as we can retaliate with one of our own to send this thing to the next dimension. From here, Inteleon comes out since it has a Dark-type move, and this did get hit with Sticky Webs. We outspeed, and that doesn't stand a chance at all. Haxorus is up, and this is where I decide to Dynamax Orbeetle to set up Psychic Terrain. Both Haxorus and Mr. Rhyme die in one single shot. His last Pokemon is going to be that iconic Charizard, but even with decked out EVs and Psychic Terrain, it wasn't enough to KO Charizard in one blow, meaning Frieza is going to go down to a heavy-ass rock, crushing it to the ground. That's painful, but Charizard is a G for living that. From here, I sent in Bulma because I completely forgot Leon had a full restore and thought I would just win right then and there with Body Slam. I was wrong. Anyways, we did do some chip, and for some reason the next turn he went for a Max Overgrowth, which didn't kill us, but like a Max Flare could have destroyed us, so I don't know, Leon. Stop going easy on me. Because of this though, I was able to get off one more Body Slam and we got the big Paralysis, but here comes that Fire Blast and that's it for Bulma. That Paralysis is actually crucial, believe it or not. We could have lost, and let me explain why. See, my Corviknight is the only thing that can defeat Charizard from where he's at, because even though Chi-Chi outspeeds, Chi-Chi only has Snarl, so that's dead. And Piccolo couldn't outspeed, and even if we did, what was he going to do? Blow some wind on Charizard's face? Charizard would literally blow some fire on our face. So Goku was the only option, and for reference, I have 31 IVs in speed and max speed EVs, meaning we do outspeed if of course he has bad IVs or bad nature. But if everything went good for him on the stat side, we would have lost the run. However, we'll never know as Bulma came in clutch and this thing is as slow as a turtle now, so Goku can drill pick this thing to oblivion. Yay, we won. Alright, this was super fun and kind of challenging at times, especially for Sword and Shield. But I had a blast and I hope you guys had a blast watching. And if you did, blast that like button because Bulma got blasted for your entertainment. Anyways, you guys are amazing, but I'm out of here.